Let's be clear from the start. In real wars like the one between Iran and Israel, there are no clean winners. There are only different kinds of damage: military, political, economic, human. In this video, we're going to walk through that damage. Not in slogans, but in facts. Who gained what? Who lost what? On the battlefield, in politics, and in money. By the end, you'll see something important. A country can win the night on TV and still be losing slowly in reality. 1. What war are we talking about? We're not talking about a single formal war with a start and end date. We're talking about the Iran-Israel confrontation that exploded into the open from 2023 onwards. Iran's missile and drone attacks on Israel. Israel's direct and indirect strikes on Iran and its allies. Hezbollah on the Lebanon front. Houthi attacks in the Red Sea. Think of it as one connected conflict with several fronts. 2 moments define this phase. First, April 13, 2024. Iran launched more than 300 drones and missiles at Israel in its first direct, large-scale strike from Iranian territory. According to Israeli and U.S. officials, over 99% of these projectiles were intercepted by Israel's air defenses and allied forces. Second, the Hezbollah-Israel front that opened after October 7, 2023. Over months, Hezbollah fired thousands of rockets and anti-tank missiles at northern Israel, forcing around 60,000 Israelis from their homes near the Lebanon border. At sea, Yemen's Houthi movement, backed by Iran, carried out dozens of missile and drone attacks on commercial ships in the Red Sea and Gulf of Aden, hitting or seizing multiple vessels. So when we say Iran-Israel war here, we mean this network of clashes. Iran versus Israel, Hezbollah versus Israel, Houthis versus global shipping, all happening at the same time. 2. Military reality. Who actually won on the battlefield? Let's start with the most visible layer: hardware versus hardware. Iran's April 2024 attack. On April 13, 2024, Iran fired roughly 170 drones, over 30 cruise missiles, and more than 100 ballistic missiles at Israel. It said the attack was retaliation for an Israeli strike on its consulate in Damascus that killed IRGC officers. Israel, backed by the US, UK, France, and Jordan, intercepted almost everything. A US official said over 300 projectiles were launched. Israel claimed around 99% were shot down. Physical damage inside Israel was limited. Reports mention minor hits on an airbase and one seriously injured Bedouin girl. On a pure military level that night, Iran showed it could launch a massive salvo directly from its territory. Israel and its allies showed they could handle it and keep casualties low. If you judge who won the night militarily, the answer is simple. Israel and its partners neutralized the attack with minimal damage. But that doesn't mean Iran lost everything, because the message was also part of the attack. Iran demonstrated that it has hundreds of missiles and drones that can reach Israel. It is willing to use them openly, not just through proxies. That matters for deterrence and reputation, even if the interception rate was high. Hezbollah versus Israel. On the northern front, the picture is different. Since October 2023, Hezbollah has fired thousands of rockets, missiles, and drones at northern Israel. By April 2024, Reuters reported that around 60,000 Israelis had been displaced from communities near the Lebanon border and were still unable to return safely. Human Rights Watch and others documented that Hezbollah's use of inaccurate rockets and explosive weapons endangered civilians on both sides of the border. Militarily, Hezbollah succeeded in making large areas of northern Israel uninhabitable for months. Israel hit back with heavy airstrikes in southern Lebanon, killing fighters and causing serious damage to infrastructure and homes. Hezbollah did not destroy Israel's military, and Israel did not destroy Hezbollah. Both proved they can hurt each other and civilians caught between them. Houthis in the Red Sea. In the Red Sea, the Houthis shifted from hitting mostly Israel-linked ships to targeting a broader range of commercial vessels. By mid-2024, they had launched dozens of missile and drone attacks, damaging or seizing multiple ships and disrupting one of the world's busiest shipping lanes. The US and UK responded with airstrikes on Houthi targets, but couldn't fully stop the attacks. Here, Iran's side managed to create a global military and economic problem at relatively low cost, using a proxy group. Military summary. Israel and its allies clearly won the April 2024 interception battle in the sky. Iran showed it can reach Israel directly and activate multiple fronts at once. Hezbollah and the Houthis demonstrated that Israel and global trade routes are vulnerable to sustained asymmetric attacks. So militarily, there is no absolute winner. Each side exposed the other's weaknesses while showing some of its own strengths. 3. Political winners and losers. Now let's look at politics. Because missiles end, but political consequences keep moving. Iran's political position. Iran used its attacks to claim leadership of what it calls the axis of resistance. The direct strike on Israel allowed Tehran to say it responded to an attack on its consulate and defended its image after years of losing commanders and scientists. Its support for Hezbollah and the Houthis signaled that it could pressure Israel and the West on multiple fronts without full-scale war. Inside Iran, state media framed the April 2024 attack as a historic demonstration of power, even though most projectiles were intercepted. But Iran also paid political costs. Western states pointed to the attack as evidence of Iranian aggression, strengthening calls for more sanctions and isolation. Its close link to the Houthis' Red Sea attacks increased pressure from countries whose trade routes were hit, not just from Israel or the US. So politically, Iran gained prestige among its allies and supporters, but deepened its image as a destabilizing actor in the eyes of many governments. Israel's political position. Israel, on the other hand, showed that it can coordinate with the US, UK, France, and regional states like Jordan to defend against a large-scale Iranian attack. Its air defense network works well under real massed fire. That boosted Israel's political image as a capable high-tech state when it comes to defense. However, Israel faced serious challenges. Continuous rocket fire from Hezbollah made large parts of its north unlivable for months, raising questions domestically about how long such a situation can last. The wider context of the Gaza war brought unprecedented criticism from parts of the international community, affecting Israel's diplomatic standing and public opinion in some countries. Ongoing tension with Iran and its proxies kept Israel locked in a multi-front posture, consuming political and security attention. So politically, Israel strengthened its security reputation, but also saw its diplomatic space become more contested. The United States and Western allies. Politically, the US and its allies scored some points and lost others. They showed they can still project power quickly by helping Israel intercept Iran's attack and by organizing naval coalitions in the Red Sea. But they also became more directly entangled in Middle Eastern conflicts they claimed to be trying to de-escalate. Every time US forces intercept missiles or strike Houthi positions, Washington moves deeper into the conflict's logic. Political summary. Iran gained status among its supporters but increased its isolation among many states. Israel showed strong defensive capabilities but faced political pressures over its broader regional actions. The U.S. and Western states reaffirmed alliances but took on more risk and responsibility. There is no simple political winner. Each actor is locked a bit deeper into a conflict that is hard to exit. 4. Economic winners and losers. Here, the story becomes clearer. Iran's economic reality. Iran entered this period already under heavy sanctions from the U.S. and others. Its economy had shrunk compared to its potential, and its currency had lost a huge amount of value. Every new escalation gives sanction advocates more arguments that Iran is a threat to shipping, regional stability, and energy supplies. The Houthi attacks in the Red Sea, which U.S. officials connect to Iranian support, have raised insurance costs for vessels, forced some ships to sail around Africa instead of through the Suez Canal, increased transport times and costs. These actions pressure global trade, but they don't fix Iran's own economic problems. In the long term, they risk justifying even tighter measures against Iranian assets and exports. Israel's economic reality. Israel's economy is more advanced and integrated into global markets, but also exposed. The Hezbollah front alone has had serious economic effects. Around 60,000 Israelis evacuated from northern communities means entire towns, farms, and businesses disrupted for months. Tourism and investment are affected by perceptions of risk when rockets and drones hit near population centers. Defending against large Iranian salvos is not cheap either. Each interceptor missile for systems like David's Sling or Arrow is expensive, even if the exact figures vary by system and source. In short, every night of interception success still costs significant money. Every week of displacement in the north means lost output and extra state spending. The wider world, the economic losers, are not just in Iran and Israel. The Houthi campaign in the Red Sea has hit global shipping routes between Asia and Europe, forced major container lines to divert vessels around the Cape of Good Hope, adding time and fuel costs. Increased pressure on already fragile supply chains. Energy prices and insurance rates are sensitive to every new missile and every new ship hit or seized. So, in economic terms, Iran hurts others, but remains under long-term pressure itself. Israel absorbs high defense and displacement costs. The rest of the world pays more for shipping security and uncertainty. There is no real economic winner, only different levels of loss. 5. So, who really won? If you force the question who won, you miss the point, because this conflict produced different winners and losers in different categories. You could say, militarily, Israel and its allies won the interception battle, but Iran and its proxies proved they can open multiple fronts and cause disruption at relatively low cost. Politically, Iran strengthened its role as a resistance leader in its own narrative, while Israel reinforced its alliance network and defensive reputation. Both also deepened their international controversies. Economically, everyone lost something. Iran under more pressure, Israel paying high defense and displacement costs, and the global economy absorbing shipping disruptions and higher risk premiums. The one clear group that did not win anything is civilians. Israelis in the north living in hotels or temporary housing for months. Lebanese villagers under bombardment and living near launch sites. Sailors and crews on commercial ships targeted in the Red Sea. They didn't design the strategies. They didn't decide the launches, but they carry the consequences. If there is a dark truth here, it is this. States can claim victories on screens and in speeches, But when you zoom out and follow the military, political, and economic lines, you see something else. Everyone is trading short-term moments of strength for long-term layers of risk. No side has actually made itself safer. They've just raised the cost of the next round. If you want, next we can take this same structure and turn it into a tighter, punchier voiceover script, line by line, tuned exactly for AI narration timing.